This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we have already seen how to create a cube helix palettes in yesterday's session. So let's see how to generate a cube helix palette. So you might already know what is cube helix pattern. So cube helix means it will generate a sequential color distribution. So linearly. So when it comes to light means it will generate the sequential colors from lowest light intensity to darkest intensity. So like that it will generate. And let's see the corresponding notebook or description about this. For that you need to open your Seaborn, and in the search you just type cube helix select, and it will open the rest of supported results. So it is a method cube helix underscore palette. Cube helix cube helix underscore palette. So when you open this cube helix underscore palette from the results, you will get to observe some kind of description over there in the Seaborn. Okay, what it gives you, it will gives you a sequential palette from the cube helix system. So defaultly there is a kind of system to generate a color palette using cube helix, and it will generate a sequential color palette. That means it produces a color map with a linearly decreasing or or increasing. Basically it will generate a linearly decreasing order only. So that means the information will be preserved if the printed to black or white viewed by someone who is having color blind. So by using that we can secure our data. Okay, and now let's see it can support the parameters we are already seen in yesterday. So it can take a number of colors. So based on that it will automatically generate colors, and it takes some kind of hue parameter. Based on that hue you can observe the intensity of the color palette, and we are already applying reverse also. So when you want to generate the when you want to get the output in the reverse manner, you can use reverse. So like this it will generate. Cube helix system defaultly generates some kind of colors with purple color combination, purple to navy blue. Okay, so basically at the starting it will generate a low intensity, at the ending it will generate high intensity of the color. And you might already observe we are already applying some kind of start parameter in the color palette. So here also we have a parameter like start, and we already apply this kind of reverse also. So let's see how to generate a color map object by using heat map. That means here if you see, so heat map means with respect to heat map you're going to observe the results as correctly. So heat map will generate some kind of data distribution like this. Based on the color mapping it will generate a kind of heat map from low to high along with the intensity with the denotation. With the intensity denotation you can observe the results. Now let's see how to apply this. So I'm using same coding also here. So let's convert. The first agenda is here, cube helix palette observation using heat map. Because heat map is very important whenever you want to observe the relationship between your input features and output features. We're going to find out the best related features to predict our target. In that cases we want to find out the correlation. So for correlation may be varied from -1 to 1. So in that cases whenever the correlation might having one value means that best features are related to having correlation one value. So if you want to visualize that correlation with respect to color mapping, then we can use this heat map. So heat map generally it will visualize some kind of distribution, so based on the color intensities. Let's see how to apply heat map for cube helix pattern so that you can easily observe how the sequential color can be varied from low intensity to high with respect to that numbering of it. Okay, so for that I'm just importing Seaborn. At the initial time import Seaborn as SNS, and then you can generate a kind of a number of a kind of random values, and we can apply these random values to heat map to observe the kind of values with respect to color map, with respect to cube helix pattern. Okay, we are generating one kind of random data, and with respect to that random data, we are going to apply this cube helix palette colors to that variable along with the color heat map. Okay, we can apply the heat map to this X and as well as cube helix palette, so that you can easily observe how the color can be varied with respect to the data that the variable is having. So let's see, for that I'm just taking one variable, that is x equals to, so whenever you want to generate a random data, you can use a numpy. Okay, let's try to import that numpy also. Import numpy as np. Okay, here I'm generating a random data, so for that I'm importing numpy. So let's use it, np dot random dot randint of, I'm generating a 10 numbers between the range of 1 to 10, 1 to 20. So I need to generate a 10 values between 1 to 20. And after that, I'm going to call this cube helix palette colors. And after calling it, I'm going to apply that colors to this X variable by using heat map. Okay, let's see how to apply that. So for that, I'm just taking one more variable to generate this color cube helix palette. Okay, so this cube helix will get you in the SNS. So you can use SNS dot, you can just give cube and then give tab. So it will automatically select cube helix underscore palette to generate a cube helix palette colors. Okay. And when it comes to, whenever you want to apply a colors to the numbers, integers, you need to specify as CMAP. We are already seen this as CMAP keyword in the yesterday. So it can take either true or false. It will take only Boolean data. So if it is when it is make it as a true, means it will uses matplotlib of colors. So the supporting colors that can offered by matplotlib. Okay, and I'm just storing that colors with respect to that Seaborn. And how you are going to generate that colors means by using cube helix palette, we are generating colors. Okay. Now we are going to generate a heat map to observe these changes, to observe these colors with respect to the value of this X. So for that, you can directly call sns.heatmap. So sns.heatmap, it will take a kind of parameters, the data. So you can just make shift tab. After importing SNS, try to run the cells, then you will get the signature window. So if I give tab, why it is not giving? It will take the attributes as data at the initial time. So we are generating the data with respect to X variable. So you can pass it over here. And then if you want to generate a colors, you can, we are already generating a colors by using cube helix. Let's apply these colors to this variable. So you can specify that color here. So when you want to specify these colors, you can specify that color pattern by using CMAP, as CMAP is a keyword. Input got 10, 1 and 10. Equals to C. Yeah, the heat map will takes you two-dimensional array type. But here, if you see, we are generating only single dimension, right? So we are generating random values with a use of random variable. But when you generating, it will takes only single dimension. It is a kind of single dimension. X is having single dimension, but heat map will you take that two-dimension arrays. So try to reshape it after generating. So I'm just I'm trying to reshape it here itself. Dot reshape. Totally we have 10 elements. Totally we have 10 elements. You can reshape it with the proper with the factors of the 10. So you can reshape like 5 rows and 2 columns, and 2 rows and 5 columns, as well as 10 rows and single column, and also single row and 10 columns. That are the properties we have to reshape these 10 elements. So I am just using 2, 5 to reshape these values. So totally by using this, by using np.random.randint, we can generate a 10 values. And when it comes to heat map, it will take only 2-dimension arrays of data so that it can be generated. Otherwise, it will raise an error like index error or something. So in that case, you need to reshape your data. And when it comes to reshaping of 10 elements, you can specify 2 into 5. That means totally it will support to reshaping of 10. And also you can use 5 into 2 and also 10 into 1 and 1 into 10. Now you can see it will generate a cube helix palette colors with respect to the text. Okay, what we are doing means we are generating a colors with the use of cube helix palette. And after generating that colors, we are storing with one variable. And after that, we are just apply these colors to the variable, our data. Okay, so if I don't mention this CMap equals to C, let's see. If I don't mention this CMap equals to C, it will automatically generate the default colors that they have. So heat map also having some kind of default colors to generate a colors format. But instead of that, if you want to generate a cube helix palette colors by using heat map, if you want to generate a colors from cube helix palette, you can use that with the use of parameter like CMap. And you can specify that colors that you want. So if I mention cube helix color palette, cube helix maximum, it will generate like purple to navy blue combination. Okay, so with that color combination, we are generating a colors, and after generating that colors, we are just displaying that colors by passing that colors to the data that they have. Here we are generating a data in the variable of x, and make sure this data should be in the format of 2-dimension. Otherwise, you will get error. Because the heat map having a syntax to take, it can take the data or values with the format of 2-dimension. Okay. So now we can observe here. So it will, based on the values, it will automatically generate the colors. And if you see in the right side, you can observe one kind of color bar is there. So based on the intensity of the colors, it will generate which color does they have. So the light colors having some kind of value like -4. And when it comes to increasing that, it will increase the value also. When it comes to dark color, the value of it is 18. Okay, how it going to be generate the values means, so basically it supports some kind of syntax. So here if you see, it will generate a plot is rectangular data as a color ended matrix. It will generate a rectangular kind of color ended matrix, and it will take, when it comes to data, see, it will take only 2-dimension data. Otherwise it will generate an error. We are already seeing that. And it supports some kind of parameters like robust also. And this robots can take say true or false. If it is true means it will generate Vmax to Vmin or absent color map range computed with the robust quantiles. So based on the quartile range, it will generate the values, colors, intensities, and line width also there. So we are using the parameters based on our applications, but you should know before that, if you should know how to use that basic syntax. Okay, like this you can generate any number of colors. If you don't use this any kind of CMap equals to true, you will get the default colors of it. Let's run this without colors. Like instead of cube helix color, you can generate directly. So defaultly CMap have some kind of colors. So with that colors also you will get to observe. And also we have one more parameter, that is not, I think, yeah, not equals to, if you make it as true. So when you use not equals to true, it will generate the values as well as the colors. You will get the data along with the color on the top of it. You can observe most of the values. 4 is having some kind of black color. So the black color data should be represented with the value of 4 only. So if you want to get the data along with the color on the top, you can use a not equals to true. A not equals to 2. Okay. So that you will observe all this data should be live along with the color. See, when you want to display any kind of rectangular kind of color matrix, you need to pass the data. Then only it will takes that input. With respect to that input only, it will generate the color map of matrix. So here we are generating the data with the variable of x. Here we are generating the data with the variable of x. And this data should having some random values which can vary from 1 to 20. And totally we are generating 10 values. So if you want to print that x, you can print it. And based on that x only, you will get this color matrix. If you won't mention this color, if you won't mention this z, x, you will not get anything. So it will raise an error. That means it will require one positional argument, that is data. You should pass data. It is a mandatory. Based on the data only, it will generate the heat map, color of matrix. So here we are generating that data with respect to that x only. Okay. And also we have one more parameter like line width. Yeah. If you want to separate these lines along with width, you can mention that line width also. If I mention line width as 2, you will get some kind of width in between the lines. Okay. So based on this line width, it will give you some kind of width space in between the lines. Like this, you can generate a heat map, and this heat map is very important whenever you want to find out the best features to predict our output. We can calculating the correlation. So instead of analyzing a correlation by statistically, you can visualize that correlation value with respect to heat map, so that you can easily figure out which color or which feature is more related to our target. So you should know how to generate the heat map. So for this heat map, it will take data, and that data should be 2-dimension only. And if you want to get the data on with respect to color, you can use NR through so that it will generate the color as well as data on top of it. And based on our application, we can use some other attributes as well. Okay, that's it about the creating of heat map. Is it clear? Generation of heat map. So the first step, we are generating colors by using cube helix palette. And if you won't mention that cube helix also, defaultly this heat map having some kind of default colors. With that colors it will generate. Or else you can pass the colors also by using color. One parameter is there. With that also you're going to pass that colors. Am I clear, students? Generation of heat map. See, I'm already tell you the importance of heat map. So by using heat map, we are going to visualize a kind of matrix type of data. So it will visualize something in the kind of matrix format, 2x2 matrix format. So when it comes to 2x2 matrix, means you will get to observe which features are having most relation with one another. So whenever you want to find out the relationship between one feature to another feature, you can use this heat map. Okay. So based on that values, you can observe the relation. But here we are generating the values randomly. So when you see this this heat map, the values here we can varies from 0 to 1. The heat map values basically generated from 0 to 1. So 0 means it is not familiar to not correlated. So when it comes to correlation, you will get more understand. But the thing you should understand is, by using heat map, we can generate a plot by 2x2 matrix, and with that you can understand which features are most related to one to another. Okay. And when we can use this heat map means, by taking a data set, we want to find out. Yeah, I will explain the heat map by taking one example also. Don't worry, but you need to observe when it comes to a kind of data set. So out of the all features, we need to figure out which best features are related to target. That means if you take one example like your data set like advertisement.csv, I'm already closed it. Okay. So in the advertisement.csv, we have like a TV, radio, newspaper, all those things. So, and finally, our target is sales. So based on all inputs like TV, newspaper, radio, I want to find out which feature will be most effective to our target, that is sales. So based on one best feature, we are going to find out our target. We are going to predict our target. So in that cases, we need to find out the relationship between input features and output target. So to find out the best, to find out the relations between one feature to one feature, instead of seeing the values of it, instead of seeing the data of in it, you can use the visualization. By using visualization, you can easily find out which feature is most related to one other feature, so that we can easily pick up that best feature which is correlated to one to another. And we are going to observe this heat map technique by taking one data set so that you can easily understand. And when it comes to data set, you can calculate the correlation of every value, every feature. And when the correlation value is equals to 1, we can find out that feature is most related to our target. That feature will be helpful to find out our target easily. So when it after calculating the correlation, we are going to visualize that correlation by using heat map, so that instead of values, instead of statistical representation, by taking the heat map, you can easily understand. And we will discuss it. We will discuss about that after, when it comes. Okay. Okay. Next, we will see the different Seaborn styles of plots. So in the different Seaborn styles of plots we have. Basically, this Seaborn will be offer some kind of plots. So those plots are categorical. Let's make note of it. Categorical scatter plots and categorical distributed plots. And the next one we have like categorical. So instead of that, this can be called as a estimated plots. So the Seaborn basically have these type of 3 categories. One is categorical scatter plots, and the next one is categorical distribution plots, and next one is estimated plots. So when it want to estimate something based on your input features, that comes under estimated plots. And we have already seen the distribution plots, and we have already seen what type of plots are called scatter plots. Now you should tell me what are the distribution plots we have already completed in the Matplotlib. The distribution plots. What are the distribution plots you have seen in the Matplotlib? So distribution plots means there the data should be distributed along with the length of it. Yeah, one example we have seen histogram. So there the data should be distributed with respect to calculating of density. Based on density, it will distribute, and based on means we have distribute the data. Histogram 1, and the next one, what other we have seen? The distribution plots. Yeah, we have seen the box plot. In the box plot also, you can observe the data should be distributed like as a boxes. And this box plot is basically having some kind of calculation of IQR range, interquartile range. Based on interquartile range, it will generate minimum value, maximum value, median value. And out of this median maximum mean value, those will be called as an outliers. So bar plots cannot be called as a distribution plots. So there in the bar plot, based on the inputs, it will automatically plot the plot. It will visualize the plot, but it's not a kind of distribution plot. Yeah. So here also in the Seaborn also we have distribution plots like histogram, box plot, and also we have KD plots. And you might seen KDE plots, right? When it comes to normalization, we have seen KDE plots, kernel density estimated plots. With that, we are observing how the data should be distributed over the plot. So KDE plots, also one of the plot we have in the distribution, and we are going to see the distribution plot like violin plot. Violin plots. Okay, and some of the scatter plots we're going to see in here is strip plot and swarm plot. And estimator plots can be comes under like bar plot. So pal plot is normal plot, like your line plot. Okay. To visualize the colors, we can use pal plot. That's not comes under estimated or categorical distribution or scatter. So in it comes to estimator plot, you will get to see bar plot and point plot. Point plot, and the next one we are going to see is count plot. Okay, these are all the plots we are going to see, and apart from this we have some other plots also. In the Seaborn we have some other plots also. Those are joint plot, joint plot. What else we have? Yeah, pair plot. Yeah, I think maybe these plots. If I get remembered, I will the rest of plots also. And we will discuss all of the plots, and based on one particular application, we will pick up a best plot out of the different plots. Okay, let's see one by one. So first we are going to see the categorical scatter plots, how it is. So in the categorical scatter plots, we have strip plots as well as swarm plots. So for that, to display this kind of strip plots or swarm plots, we should use one plot. With respect to that plot, we are passing these kind of scatter plots. So like when you want to display color palette, we can use pal plot to display it, right? So we can use pal plot to display color palette. So likewise, if you want to observe the changes, a different kind of plots, we can use one basic plot, that is cat plot. Okay, by using cat plot, you can observe all the categorical type of plots. Okay, all the categorical type of plots you're going to observe it. So by using basic plot, that is cat plot, cat. Okay, let's see. So for that, if you want to observe the changes, if with respect to these plots, we need to take a data. So with respect to data only, we are going to visualize something. Let's see. Let's take a data. So this Seaborn will have some kind of inbuilt data set. That is also one of the advantage. If you are using Seaborn, means it might have internal data sets. Instead of getting the data sets from outside environment or any kind of web servers or repositories, you can directly access it by using that one particular method, that is get underscore dataset names. Okay, let's see. Load the dataset names. Get datasets from Seaborn. Okay, so we are already importing Seaborn. Let's import again. Import Seaborn as SNS. And then if you want to get the inbuilt dataset names from Seaborn, you can use sns dot get underscore dataset names. Okay, datasets only set dataset underscore names. Seaborn. Then it will display the inbuilt datasets that can offered by Seaborn. So these are all the datasets we have in the Seaborn. Anagrams like diamonds, dots, exercise flights, gammas, geyser, iris, MPG, penguins, planets, tips, and Titanic. See, you can also get this Titanic dataset also in Seaborn. Okay, these are all the datasets we have from Seaborn. So out of the dataset, we can pick up any one dataset. With respect to that dataset, we are going to observe the changes. We are going to visualize a plot. Okay, so let's take a dataset iris. So up to now, we are not working with iris, and let's take that. If you want to load any kind of dataset from the given datasets of Seaborn, you can use one other method, that is load underscore dataset. While loading it, you need to store it in any kind of variable. So let's load the dataset. That is the first step. And while loading, I'm just mentioning a variable to load it, that is df. So df equals to, so when it comes to loading, you can use the method like sns dot load underscore dataset. Load underscore dataset. And inside this, you need to mention the dataset that you want to load it. You need to mention the dataset name that you want to load it. I want to load this iris dataset. So you can mention that name over here inside the parenthesis. Iris. And after that, if I print the first 5 rows, let's see. So this is the dataset that we have. It is an iris dataset. So iris is a one kind of famous flower. So if you want to predict that flower is iris or not based on sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width, you can find out it with respect to the given dataset like this. Okay. Can you all load the dataset? To get the dataset names, you can use get underscore dataset underscore names along with parentheses. And if you want to load any kind of one particular dataset, you can use sns dot load underscore dataset along with the dataset name. Okay. After loading, if you want to display the first rows, 5 rows, you can give df dot head, and then it will give you the first 5 rows. Can you all load the dataset? I got only 2 responses. What about rest of them? I'm waiting for your responses. Out of 100, I can able to see only 10 responses. What about rest of them? Can you able to do it, or you can just follow the class in phone? See, by practicing the code only, we'll get to understand. Otherwise, it is a kind of theory part. Okay, now if I also based on this data set, what do you think? Which features are your inputs and which feature is your target? Let me know. Based on the data set, what do you think? What are the input features and what is your output? Yeah, target is species. You are thinking like target is features, species, and what about the rest of them are inputs. So these plots can also called as a categorical estimated plots. You just rename it. So these estimated plots also can be called as a categorical estimated plots. Yeah. So now if I want to know how many elements does this space is having, that means if you before that, let's analyze the data set. For that, what is the step that we have to analyze the data set? What is the step that we have? Yeah, dot info. Give you df dot info will gives you the information about it. Now there you can find out the number of rows and number of columns and the data type that they have, and also non-values data and storage. See, we have totally 150 rows and 5 columns, and all the data is kind of float or integer only, a float. And the target, when you see the target, it is a kind of object. Okay, and all the input features like sepal length, sepal width, and petal length and petal width are like float. So, and it is a kind of 64-bit float. All the types can be stored like 64-bit format, and the storage when it loads is 6 KB only. Now, and now if you want to get the statistical information, you just give df dot describe. Df dot describe will gives you the statistical information like minimum value, maximum value, and the standard deviation, mean, 50% and 70%. So these can be called as in a quartile ranges. 25% can be called as in a low quartile or quartile 1, and 50% can be called as in a quartile 2. 75% of value can be called as in a quartile 3. Okay, so these 25, 50, 75% based on this you can calculate the quartile ranges. So this can be a simply definition for quartile range calculation. Yeah, like this you will get some kind of statistical information. And so based on this, we need to analyze something like other than species, all of them are some kind of input features. And I have in the species, I have some kind of object data like Setosa. If you see the first 5 rows, there might be have some kind of object data like in species Setosa. So I want to know the rest of values in the species also. That means in the totally 150 rows, every row should having some kind of species value, right? So I want to access that species row and I want to get that values inside it. Let me know for that. Access that species column and we'll find out that values inside it. How to access that species column? Yeah, by using df of species, you can access it. And it will gives you a kind of series object. And when you want to, whenever you access like df of spaces, it will generate a kind of series object like 0 to 5 and last 5 rows. And there you can observe first 5 may be having some kind of Setosa and last 5 rows might having some kind of Virginica space. And out of this I want to get the values of it. That means in that species it might have some values like Setosa and Virginica, right? So I want to know the values of init and the count of init. You can use dot values underscore in count, right? Value underscore value underscore counts will gives you the count of the values inside this species column. So in the species, there might be 3 species, 3 object data, that is versicolor, Setosa, and Virginica. And each species is having the length is 50. Each species is having 50 count of it. Okay. And if you want to group them, like you can group it like df of species, or else you can df dot group by of species. Yeah, if you want to group this species, you can group it by using group by, and you can give sum also, so that it will generate the sum of it. So if you see this in the species, it is having Setosa. So Setosa might have sepal length sum of 250.3, and in the sepal width, totally we have 171 sum of Setosa. So like this, you can apply some kind of pre-processing steps. Okay. So we are not focusing on pre-processing, and also we don't have anything to do a pre-processing here, because it doesn't have any null values, and also it doesn't have any duplicates. And when you see the data, and the data should also having some same range, like 0 to 5. Might be the data also having in the same length, like 0 to 5. It is not a huge range or huge difference. So instead of going to pre-processing, we are just going to do analyzing. That means visualize. To let's visualize something. So to visualize something, we are just using one. First, we are going to visualize by using scatter plots, categorical scatter plots. So in the categorical scatter plots, we have strip plot and swarm plot. So let's apply this scatter plot and strip plot and swarm plots. So to apply this any kind of categorical plots, we have a basic plot, that is scat plot. Okay, advertisement also doesn't have any null values. Okay, I will give you some other data set with having some null values. Okay, at the ending of the class, I will give you some other data set. Okay, wait. So to visualize any plot, any categorical plots, we have a basic plot, that is cat plot in Seaborn. Let's see how to use this cat plot. So for this, the method we have is sns dot cat plot. So sns dot cat plot, and when you give shift tab after typing cat plot, it will plot something. So it will figure level interface for drawing categorical plots. So when you want to plot a categorical plots, you can use this cat plot onto a class of faced grid. Backend, there is a kind of fast grid class. With this faced grid class, it will generate a categorical plots. Okay, you might know how to generate a class. So whenever you use this cat plot or any kind of plots, backend there is a inbuilt class to generate the plots, that is faced grids. So we don't need to focus on that class, and we can just focus on it will generate some kind of categorical plots, and it will take some kind of attributes like uh, data. So you can see the parameters once. So the parameters here, it will takes like x and y and hue. So based on the hue parameters, it will group the objects, and also data. It will also take it, and defaultly these all parameters are none, and also estimator. So it can support some kind of estimation also. Let's apply one by one. So when you print sns.catplot, it will tells you it must should take some kind of objects to plot something. So for that, I'm just passing here data equals to, we have a data with variable of df. So I just want to plot something by passing entire data set. So I'm using data equals to df here. So when I pass data equals to df, it will again raises a kind of error like a bad operator type for faced grid. Okay, so now you can able to observe based on the data that we have, it will generate some kind of categorical plot. So defaultly it will generate a SWAM plot. So default plot, it is having a SWAM plot. Let's see what is the default plot that they have when it plots. Yeah, defaultly it having some strip plot to plot it. So default plot is having some kind of strip plot, strip categorical plot. So based on this, it will generate a plot, and if you observe the result once, it will plot data frame, entire data frame, other than species. Other than species, it will generate all the features. All the features. Yeah, when it comes to categorical scatter plots, it might have strip plot and SWAM plot. So likewise, if you doesn't mention any plot here, it will take defaultly strip plot. That strip plot is also one of the subplots in scatter plots. It will generate like a scatters only. Okay. So now if you see the result, it will generate every feature like sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. And we are not mentioning any X and Y values based on the input that they have. So based on the input that they have, it will generate a kind of a categorical plot, a categorical strip plot. Okay, and it's not generating a plot based on object data. So we have totally in the DF we have totally 5 columns, right? So sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. But petal width and also species. But it will take only a data which is having integers while plotting. While plotting, it will take the data which is having integers. Okay, and it doesn't take species. If you want to consider that species also while plotting, you need to specify the X and Y along with the species category. Let's see how to apply that X and Y. Let's make description over here. It is a kind of basic plot. By using cat plot, we can plot a basic categorical plots. The method is like we have SNS dot cat plot. And let's apply X and Y. So I just want to take X as my sepal length. So df of sepal length. We are getting that sepal length from data frame. So we need to mention that, or else we can directly mention it because we are mentioning data parameter. So we can directly mention that. So df dot columns. So I'm using one parameter as in the X. SNS dot cat plot of X is my sepal length here, and Y is comma Y is, you can take any other parameter. I'm taking Y is petal length. And you need to mention the data as well. Where do you get this X and Y data? We are getting this X and Y data from data frame, that is DF. And based on that sepal length and sepal width, sepal length and petal length, it will generate a cat plot like this. It will generate a cat plot like this. And how it going to be generated? So petal length might having some range. So petal length might varies from 1 to 7. You can see the range over here. In the y-axis, we are taking petal length. So based on that length, it will generate a plot, and in the sepal length, that sepal length will take you on the x-axis. It can varies from like 1 to 7.9. 7.9. Basically, the range of the data should be same. And when you take the sepal length and petal length, petal length, it will plot something. So on what it will plot? It will plot the values. So based on that values, it will generate a species. So like either Setosa or versicolor and virginica. So if you want to specify it, you can also pass one more parameter like, so like hue. You can specify on which parameter you want to group your petal length and sepal length. In that case, you can use you can pass one more parameter, that is hue. So let's pass this hue by taking in a new line. Comma hue equals to on which parameter you want to group them. So when I make it hue equals to species. Like this, it will generate the plot. So basically, in the hue, in the species, we have totally three categories like Setosa or versicolor and virginica. Whenever you want to group them based on species, you can use hue parameter along with your x and y and also date. And it will assign some kind of color for every value. So if you see, all the blue points can be assigned like a Setosa, and the all orange can point out like versicolor, and green point out virginica. And based on that, you can group it. And if you see that all Setosa can be lies between um, 1 to 2 range of petal length. So 1 to 2.5 range can be having a petal length of Setosa, and also the sepal length is having from 4 to, so here in the x-axis the values are not having clear, 4 to maybe 5.6. So like this, you can pass one more parameter hue. When you pass hue, based on that, it will group the objects by passing separate color of it. Okay. And you can pass some other hue parameter also. If I pass some other parameter like petal length, petal width. Yeah, Sheikh Shamir. Yeah, we can use this plots to find out a kind of relation also. Either values are combining or overlapping. So you can work on that also. When it comes to machine learning, you can observe that basically. If I tell you like that, some people might get confused. Like when it comes to overlapping, that causes to overfitting, underfitting, all those things. That's why I'm not explaining you here, but you just understand how the values are visualized and how you're going to grouping. Okay, but you can use that purpose also. And if I pass hue parameter as petal length, we are already taken petal length as a y, you can take same parameter also, it's not a issue. So I'm just taking petal width as my hue parameter. Based on the petal width, it will group the objects. Petal width. So petal width having totally 150 values. So so it will generate a value for every petal width value, and that value should be pointed out in the plot also. It will take time to generate it because petal width having 150 values. So based on that 150 value, it will point out and it will generate it in the plot. See, it's still running it because it takes time to generate because it is having petal width having 150 rows. Yeah, we will get 150 colors also. Yeah, you can see it will generate the colors like this. So here you will not get 150 colors. So if any value is repeated, there is a no need to generate a new color, right? So if the values are similar, then it will generate the colors with similar ranges. So based on values, it will generate the colors. If the values are repeated, it will not generate a new color for it. So like this, petal width might having some kind of values like this, and based on that values, it will group the objects in Setosa, versicolor, virginica. And let's see some other parameters that can support by catplot. Here I'm just taking species only. So defaultly this catplot will take strip plot to generate a plot. If you want to change your plot, you can change it. And we are already seen that supported plots for this catplot. Let's see again. So it can take any categorical type of plot. So if you want to change your default plot, strip plot to some other, you can change it. So before that, let's see what are the plots that can supported by catplot. So for that, what we have to pass the parameter. Where it is. By using kind parameter, you can pass the kind of plot that you want to generate. Yeah, here. If you see the kind parameter, kind is it can take a string type of data, and defaultly it is an optional, and it can takes the kind of plot to draw. So by using kind, you can specify the plot that you want to draw, and corresponding to that name of categorical. And this cat plot will only display the categorical type of plots, either categorical scatter plus categorical distribution plot or categorical estimation plot. And if you see, it can supports like strip and swarm and box, violin, box and point, bar or count. Point, bar or count. So like this kind can takes all the kind of categorical plots, either strip plot, swarm plot, box plot, violin plot, box and plot, point plot or bar plot or count plot also. Let's apply any two of them. So hue is grouping your it is acts like a grouping. So based on hue parameter, you can group your value. So if I mention hue parameter like this, so it will generate based on the values. So it will group the values out of the given data, out of the given plot, it will grouping and it will display the colors of it. So if I make hue as species, it will generate say 3 color for species. So in the species, we have totally 3 values, Setosa, versicolor, virginica. So based on that, it will generate a single for every value, and that color will be reflected in your plot, so that you can easily group it where it is having like this. Hue is a kind of parameter with that you can group your values where it is there and where it is located. By using the by using hue, you can locate it. And let's apply kind parameter. So for that, I'm just copying this context. So I'm taking X is sepal length and Y is petal length. You can change it if you want. If I change Y is sepal width and data equals to F, and I'm using hue also. On the basis of species, I need to group in. And now instead of generating strip plot defaultly, I want to generate a box plot, so that I can use the kind parameter. With that kind parameter, you can generate a categorical cat plot of box. Okay, for that you need to specify kind equals to box. So it will generate a box plot for every value. So if you see, it will generate a kind of box plot, but you cannot observe the result easily because we are taking some kind of integers with respect to X and Y. So you will not get to observe the result here. So when it comes to kind of box, you need to take any one object type of data so that you can easily understand. I'm just changing Y value to species so that you can easily observe these changes. Now here, if you see, if I change Y as species, it is a kind of categorical data that there might have object data. So instead of integers, so integers might be continuous data. So you cannot easily figure out the result when it kind of box. So let's for that I'm just changing y as species. Then you can get, so on the y-axis you will get species Setosa versicolor virginica, and in the x-axis you will get some kind of sepal length. So based on that, it will generate a kind of box plot. And when you see this box plot, in the sepal length, virginica might have some kind of outlier. So where you can locate that means here in the point of 5.0 or 4.9 or something. There you can get one kind of outlier is there in the virginica. So by using box plot, you can able to address outliers also. So outlier is a one value or a point that is far away from the given range of values. And these outliers can be calculated with the help of IQR range. IQR means interquartile range. So that interquartile range can be calculated by using IQR1 and IQR2. We are already discussing IQR1 is called as a 25% of data, 25% of values of data, and IQR2 is 50% of data. So that means 50% of data. IQR3 means IQR1 minus IQR2, that is 75%. IQR1 plus IQR2, that is 75% of data. So here the outliers, by using box plot, we can find out the outliers by calculating the IQR values. So IQR range can varies from 20 to 75%. And this box plot can also called as a whisker plot. So here you will get to generate some kind of dots like this. So these dots, when it having too many values, you will get to observe some kind of dots over here. That all dots can be generated by using whiskers, because box plot can also called as a whisker plot. And here if you can also observe what is the IQR1 and IQR2 and IQR3 also. The starting value, the starting line over here. So this line can be called as an IQR1. Sorry, it's not called as an IQR1. It is a minimum value. So it is a minimum value of virginica. So this line will point out the minimum value. So this can be called as a 25% of data or minimum value out of it. And this line where in the square, you will also get to observe three lines. These three lines in the starting line, this first line can be called as an IQR1, 25% of data. IQR1, and this two second line can be called as a median data or 50% of IQR data. And this third line can called as an IQR3. IQR3 means 75% of data. And this last line can be called as a maximum value. So based on the minimum value, maximum value, median value, we are going to calculate the IQR1 and IQR3. And most of the values are lies between IQR1 and IQR2. That can be 25% to 75%. We are going to observe the most of the values. So now can you clear? So in the box plot, you need to observe what is minimum, what is maximum, IQR1 and IQR2 and IQR3. So this first line can be called as a minimum value, last line can be called as a maximum value, and this first line in the box plot can be called as an IQR1 or 25% of data, and the middle one can be called as an IQR2 or 50% of data. This third line can be called as a 70% of data or IQR3 range. So based on the minimum, maximum, median value, it will calculate the IQR ranges. Okay. So like this, by passing kind equals to box in cat plot, you are going to generate a box plot. And if you want to generate a some other plots like bar plot, you can pass bar over here. Then it will generate some kind of bar plot. And by using in the cat plot, you are going to pass some colors also. If you don't mention any colors, defaultly it will generate a kind of colors like this: blue, orange, green. And instead of these colors, if you want to generate a colors for it, you can mention that colors also by using a palette. Let's see. Palette equals to, here we have a three kind of species. So you can specify the colors of it. So if I press red, green. So like this, you will also generate your own colors. Okay. Now we have one more parameter. So by using a particular column also, you're going to plot something. So for that, you can specify one more parameter, that is column. So that is one more parameter, that is column. So when you mention the column, you don't need to specify this hue parameter, because we are going to grouping by we are going to specifying one particular value with uses of column. So you can specify when you want to access one particular column, you can specify that with column attribute, column equals to, there you can specify the data that you want. Here I want to get the column separation with the species column, so I can use species over here. So based on the species column, it will generate three value of it. So in the species, you have totally three values. So based on the length, based on the sepal length, and based on the y, it will generate three column of it like this. Three columns, because in the species we have totally three values. So it will generate the column value. It will generate value with respect to column. So single column, this first column will point out this Setosa kind of species. Second column will point out the versicolor kind of plot, and this third column will point out the Virginica. Okay. So when you use hue, it will group them in a single plot only. But when you use column, it will generate different kind of columns for every value with respect to that column. Like this, you can pass the column attribute also in catplot. And also you can also generate one other kind of plot. So if I want to generate a violin plot, so instead of generating violin plot manually, you can specify violin in the kind parameter, violin. So that it will generate a kind of violin plot with respect to x value as sepal length, y equals to species, and column value as also species. Like this, it will generate a single violin plot for every value inside the column species. Violin plot is like it will generate kind of violin shape of plot. By using catplot, you can generate any kind of categorical plots. By using kind parameter, you can display any kind of categorical plots in catplot. And also you can specify the markers also. Here if you see, it can generate a kind of violin shape. So inside this, it will generate some kind of plot. Instead of that, if you want to generate a markers, you can use one more parameter, that is marker. Let's see how to apply. So for that, let's take new column. So I'm taking x equals to sepal length, y is species, data equals to df. So let's remove kind here, and palette is there, and color. I don't want column specification also. I just want to focus on markers. So if I want to generate a markers, you can use, that is marker. Marker equals to. You can specify the marker. If I want to generate a plot like with the stars, you can specify marker equals to star. So that it will generate a plot like a markers. We are passing marker as a star, so it will generate like stars. So if you want to know the supported features, supported arguments for these markers, you can just go through the documentation of over here. If I pass plus, let's see if that marker is there. I think there. So there is no marker with the name of plus. And if I make underscore, so underscore also not there. When you make error, it will tells you the supported values, I think so. Okay. Yeah, this kind of marker also there, cap symbol. So based on your interest, you can generate your any kind of code. So plus is there, cap is there. If you want to know the rest of supported attributes, you can just go through the documentation so that you can explore more. Okay, am I clear to all? By using cat plot, you can generate any kind of plots, any kind of categorical plots, either strip plot, swamp plot, box plot, violin plot, bar plot. Box and plot also there. Let's see how to apply this the box and plot also, so that you can understand the difference between box and boxen. Kind equals to boxen. Type error. What is the type error here? Scatter got multiple values for keyword arguments marker. Let's remove the marker here. Because when it is a boxen, you don't need to specify the markers. Yeah, the difference, now you can see the difference between box and boxen. So in the box plot, you can observe only single box, but in the boxen plot, you will get some kind of two boxes. One is related to horizontal and the second one is related to vertical. You will get to observe two boxes, one for horizontal, one for vertical. That is the difference between box and boxen plot. And there for quartile ranges, we might have some lines, but here there is a kind of dots. Okay, guys, are you clear up to this? Okay. So after categorical scatter plots, what else we have? After the categorical scatter plots, we have categorical distributed plots. So after the categorical scatter plots, we have categorical distributed plots. Let's see how to visualize that. So categorical distributed plots. So there we have histogram plots and box plot and KDE plots and violin plots. we are going to see this first histogram plots because we are already discussing this histogram. Let's see again. So histogram plot. So for that we have a syntax. Before that we have to see the basic documentation for this histogram so that you will get more information. So in the search you just type a histplot. So for histogram plot we have a method like histplot. So after typing it, it will tells you the result searches for resulting. Yeah, you can see it will take some kind of seaborn hist plot like this, and these are all the supported arguments. So these are all the parameters that we have, and finally it will plots a univariate or bivariate histogram to show distributions of data set. So by using histogram, you can able to plot something like one direction and also bi-direction. By this histogram, you can also observe how the data should be distributed in a one direction and also two directions also. And by a histogram is a classic visualization to represent distribution of data, a distribution of one or more variables by continuing the number of observations. So that you can understand how the bins also. We are already seeing the bins. With respect to bins, we are going to tell them which distributions you want to perform. How many distributions that you want to perform, you can represent with the help of bins. And for this, it will take data as a parameter and X and Y and whites, hue, bins also. So let's see, let's apply this. I'm just copying this context and mention it in the text. Okay, by using histogram, you can able to draw univariate or bivariate histogram so that you can understand how the data should be distributed over the range. And by using histogram, you will get some kind of smooth kind of distribution. Instead of rough, you can get a smooth kind of distribution. Now let's see. So for this, to get a histogram, to apply a to plot histogram, you can use the method like SNS dot hist plot. We're already seen the method. So it will take either X and Y and also data. So for that, let's take a data. So we have a different data sets in Seaborn. Let's take some other data set. Up to now, we are working with Iris data set, right? Let's take some other data set. So yeah, let's take tips data set. So I'm just taking the data set and load it with the df variable. So SNS dot load underscore data set, and there you can mention the data set name. We have a data set name with tips, and after loading it, try to visualize the first 5 rows. Df1 dot head. See, this is the tips data set that we have. Okay, so by seeing this data set, what do you think? Which are the input features and which are your output features? By seeing this data set, what do you think? Which are belongs to inputs and output? Yeah, tip. See, when you see this tips data set, the total bill is your target. It's up to you. From one person to one person, the inputs and target may be different. Some person maybe think tip is your output. That's okay. Okay. So, but as a developer, you should know which application you want to develop based on inputs and the target. So, in my prospection, I was thinking total bill is my target, and the rest of them all belongs to my inputs. Okay. So, if you want to analyze, you can analyze it like df.info, so that it will gives you the number of rows and columns as well as supporting data types and storage. So totally it having 150 rows and 5 columns, and there is no none values, and also it having only integer data. And the target, if you see the in this, see it is a species df1.info. So it will gives you now you can see in the sex, smoker, day and time. So these are all like a categorical data we have, and we up to now we are not going to pre-processing the data, so we're just focusing on visualizing something. So let's see. So for that, let's observe the histoplot. So SNS dot histoplot of, then you can specify any one data. So if you have only one data to visualize, you can pass it, or if you want to observe the data distribution with the help of 2 features also, you can pass it. So for first time, I'm just passing only single data. So before that, df1 dot columns. Let's print the columns of df1. So these are all the columns that we have: total bill, tip, sex, smoker, day, time, size. Okay. So out of those, I just want to plot by using histogram plot, like total bill. I just want to pass total bill to find out the distribution of data. Now you can see it will generate a kind of total bill. How it is taken, we are not passing data, right? data equals to d of 1. This plot got multiple values for argument data. Okay, when you pass single data like this, so this entire thing can be considered as one kind of data set. So you can pass data equals to d of 1, so that it will generate a kind of distribution for every column inside our data frame. So in the data frame we have only integer data with having total, bill, tip and size, and this his plot will takes you only integer kind of distribution, because when it is a integer data, so that we can understand how the data should be continuously distributed. Okay, the categorical data, we are not going to analyze the data should be distributed or not. When it comes to integers data only, we are going to observe the changes, how the data should be distributed. So that when you pass data equals to d of 1, it will checks with integer kind of columns, and with respect to that integer kind of columns only, it will apply a kind of distribution of data over like this. And also it will automatically generate some colors also. For tip it will generate orange color, and size it will generate green color, and total, bill, it generates some kind of blue. Out of the given data set, it will takes only integer kind of columns. Okay, now if you want to specify any one column, you can specify it by passing x and y parameters. SNS dot hist plot of, I'm just specifying x equals to, and the data equals to, we are having d of 1. So based on that x, it will generate a kind of distribution like this. And if you won't mention the distribution, how much distribution that you want to generate, it will automatically generate defaultly 10 kind of distribution. Okay, and here if you see, I am passing in the x, I am passing only integer kind of column, that is total bill. If I pass kind of string data, now let's see the result. If I pass x equals to 6, so based on that also it's going to be distributed the data. But here in the sex, we might have only two categorical data, either male or female. Based on that also it's going to be distribute the data, and it will generate only two categories. So the data should be generated like a two distributions, either female or male. So we will get either 1 or 0 like this. Total bill, total underscore bill. Okay, so like this it will generate data. And if you see this total bill, we are passing with the variable of the axis of x-axis, but we are not representing what is the value that we have to take in y, but automatically with respect to that count of the total bill, it will generate that same with respect to axis of y. You can see in the y-axis it will automatically generate that, and based on that it will generate a kind of data distribution. And here if you don't mention the bins value, it will automatically takes distribution values or as 10. If I want to mention the bin, you can specify like comma bin equals to bins equals to. If I specify 5, so based on that bins it will distribute the data. So now you can able to observe only five step of data distribution. Okay, is this clear all? Apart from these two parameters, we can pass some more parameters also, like so you just go through the signature window and try to apply some other parameters also, like y. So when you mention the y x-axis, it will generate only with respect to x-axis. If you want to generate hist plot with respect to y-axis, you can generate it like you can specify here. Like if I want to generate this plot with respect to y, you can specify y equals to, so that the total will be taken with respect to y axis. Now you can see this can be generated like y axis. Okay. And also you can also specify the width of the bins also. If you don't mention the bins width, it will defaultly generate some kind of width that they have. Otherwise, you can specify the bins width with the parameter of bins width. And you can specify the width of it. So I just want to generate a 0.5 of width for that bins. Now you can see it will generate some kind of bins width of 0.5. So now you cannot observe the result. If I make it as 5. So based on the bins width, it will again generate the, so when you specify the bins width, it will defaultly generate 10 bins. If I make it as bin width as 1. So based on width, bin width, it will defaultly generate other values, distribution of data. Okay, like this, you can also specify the width of the bins also. Okay, and by using histogram, you can also specify some other plot. Inside the histogram plot, you can also specify other plot. So when you use histogram, it will distribute the data like univariate or bivariate. Like it will distribute the data over the step of it. So instead of the generating data like distribution, you can also generate distribution data like smoothly. So for that, you should specify one more parameter like KDE. By using KDE, you can generate a distribution of data smoothly. So let's see, for that you need to specify one more parameter. So I'm just taking x equals to total bill and data frame equals to date. And then you can specify, when you want to specify KDE equals to true means with respect to histogram, it will automatically generate some kind of KDE plot. You need to specify it as a true. Defaultly, this KDE is like a false position. So when you mention this KDE, you can also observe one kind of a curve like this. That means instead of kind of rough kind of distribution, you can get a smooth kind of distribution by passing KDE equals to true only. You will get a kind of smooth line, a curve form, so that it will generate a kind of distribution data smoothly. And defaultly, this KDE is having some kind of false. Okay. And also you can specify one more parameter like hue. By using hue, you can group the data. So I just want to specify like I want to group the data with respect to total bill of 6. So if I mention it based on that hue parameter, it will distribute the data. So you can also observe it will defaultly generate two colors like for male it will generate blue color, for female it will generate orange color. And also you will get 4 plots over here. A single plot, hist plot for male and female, and KDE plot for male and female. So because we are applying KDE also true here, so that it will generate two plots based on hue. So let's remove over here. You can specify hue parameter by taking a new line. And there, if you want to keep the KDE, you can keep it. Otherwise, you can remove it. And now you can observe the changes with respective hue parameter. When you specify hue, it will generate based on that hue, it will generate two categorical two kind of hue parameters. In the hue, we have only two. So based on that, it will generate a plot. It will distribute the plot. Okay. So am I clear? All of you up to this? If you want to work on more, black color. So where do you get this black color? So black color means So you can specify one more parameter like column. When you specify column, it doesn't take it, right? I think so. It doesn't have column. It's not color column. See, that black color is nothing but it doesn't have color parameter. When you mention a column, so based on that column, it will generate values with respect to column, right? And here we are mentioning hue parameter inside the single plot, like histogram. So backend there is some kind of plot. That means backend there is a color to the same category based on hue. So from when it comes to visualization from front end, it going to be displayed some other color. That means when you see this female, you can observe only two colors, like in the position of 5, maybe in the position of 35. But apart from that, there is some other kind of there is a females in between some other range also. We are not going to observe that changes here. So because it is a histogram, and by using histogram, you can specify the data should be distributed over the inside the single range, like this, in this range only. When you display this with respect to column, you can understand. Colors are not default. You can specify the colors that you want. See, we are already seeing it, right? By using color parameter, you can specify the color that you want. Color equals to, we have two colors, like if I pass red, see, if I specify red and green also, it's not taken. We'll see the signature window again. Color single color specification for when hue mapping is not used. Otherwise, the plot will try to hook into the matplotlib property cycle. So defaultly it will take colors from matplotlib when you use hue. So if I won't mention this, so whenever you use hue only, we need to specify the colors, because based on that only you need to specify the color of it. And so we are not going to describe it. See, it will not changing the colors. I don't know why it is, but it is also not raising any error. Backend, when you use hue parameter, it will defaultly generate that colors, I think so, because in the index, in the signature window, you can see when you use hue parameter, based on that hue, it will defaultly generate the colors which is came from matplotlib cycle. Other than using hue, you can change it the color, I think so. Let's discuss that in tomorrow. That's it about the today's class, and stay back in the meeting. I'm going to tell you the data set that you want to perform with the task. Okay. So because in the data set advertisement.csv don't have any null values, so that you don't do any kind of much more step other than scaling. So for that, you need to take some other data set. I will tell you the data set link for you in the chat box. Don't leave the meeting. I will update that link of the data set in the chat box. Wait 2 more minutes.